Alrighty, greetings there, my fellow Chun Li warriors. Welcome back to the dojo for another session. In this particular session, instead of going over concepts on the training floor, what we're going to go ahead and do is look at a few replays here. These replays are going to be following some of the newer videos that have been being put out. Revolving around Chun Li's offensive structuring. And I wanted to go ahead and continue the trend that I did before and show replays in which I focus only on those specific aspects of Chun Li's game, right? Now, this was going to be a little bit tricky because unlike the other one was only focused specifically on anti-airing. This one is covering offense in general, so it's going to be covering quite a few things. It's going to be covering block strings, combo structuring, okizeme, things of that nature, right? And of course, just to preface before we get into the actual replays here, since I am focusing specifically on a style of play or on a specific attribute or aspect of gameplay mechanics, this may not reflect the full breadth of my gameplay. So you might see me get cooked up a little bit in some of these games here, though it's a little different because I have access to a lot more. Since it's not specifically one thing like anti-airing or overheads or something like that, right? So, but yeah, we're focusing on specific things, and since this is more of an offensive based replay session. This is not my most comfortable preferred method of playing. I think that I'm terrible when it comes to offense in general. Just the way that I am as a person, it reflects in my gameplay, my ability to respond to things quickly. Usually, aggressive players are more fiery, they respond to things more quickly, right? Me, I'm a little bit more slow in my approach. I need time in order to process what's happening. So I usually default to being more of a defensive style player. So it might be a bit of a throw off with me being on offense here. But let's go ahead and get into the session here. Now I'm gonna try to go over a healthy amount of replays. There are gonna be some wins, some losses here. Let's go ahead and start with the first replay, which was apparently a quote unquote new challenger, Elena. Um, if you are in master rank, even if you're playing casual and you see new challenger 10 times out of 10, they are a master rank that is just picking a different character. So this guy is 100% a quote unquote Smurf. We're starting out by suppressing the neutral with jabs here. As you can see, the reason why I'm kind of doing this is to feel things out, as well as if my opponent decides they want to try to drive rush or do something crazy, they'll get checked by the jab, right? And we're just advancing the pressure. He gets poked by the forward medium punch, so we go ahead and spin a little bit of meter to get him to the corner. He's pushing me back. He does a nice little combo there. Again, I'm poking to try to keep him from being able to just roll in or drive rush willy-nilly. But he catches me and takes me to the other side of the corner. He misses the anti-air, so I punish it with a pretty simple combo. He gets baited by the dash-in, so now we get to go ahead and get a punish. This is not the optimal punish that you can get, but it's okay. We still got a lot of damage. And we were able to take that round, right?
Now you understand.
All right, let's see what happens in the next
Don't
one.
underestimate me.
Round two. Fight.
Again, just filling things out, neutral. Remember, like, it's okay, generally speaking. I don't have the best feeling for it, but low committal attacks like jabs, light attacks, or light buttons, you can kind of just throw out. You do have to be careful because you might get clipped by something sometimes if your opponent just so happens to throw out a button when you're doing it, you can get clipped. But they're not going to react to you doing it unless you're just only mashing jabs over and over again without any variability. So It's okay to throw a few normals out. Um, Light attacks definitely, and even some medium attacks as well to help kind of form a wall so your opponent can't just walk into your space, right? He's able to get the roll and drive rush. I attempted to jump over him to get out of the corner, but I failed. We're trying to push him back, get out of the corner. So we're drive rushing. That was sloppy on my part since it was a light attack. I didn't actually expect for him to get hit, and I didn't sequence that correctly, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at that again. Sorry. We're gonna drive rush into the jab again as we see. And yep, there it is. And then we go into the Senshu instead of doing most likely after the drive rush jab. What I should have did was a crouching medium kick, and then go from there. But as I said, sometimes strange things can happen with Chun Li. I don't know why I did his Senshu. It was probably an execution error, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, because I don't think I would just whip out a Senshu randomly like that without a plan. But yeah, he got hit by it, so it's okay. So we're going to take our frame advantage and go from there, right? Continuing to play the neutral. The opponent has pretty good reflexes. That's how I know he's a Smurf. He sees me whiff the parry, so he goes for a punish counter throw. Good anti-air. He's keeping me out pretty good, and good anti-air again. Good buttons. Anti-air again. Yep, so I pretty much died because I was jumping all day long. That's part of the reason why you don't want to jump, because you will die, as you can clearly see. You're fighting somebody that knows what they're doing, right? So what happened here is I went for the fireball, and I tried to do something that was fake. And this is another reason why this is clearly a Smurf, because he checks me for trying to drive rush here pretty hard, as we can see. That's what you're supposed to do. I most likely got the Senshu in the previous round due to an execution error. He's doing some unsafe stuff and I didn't punish it. It's okay. As you can see, what happened here is we jumped and this is not the optimal stuff that should be done. But I honestly, when playing Chun Li, especially for me, like I said, I don't have the fastest reflexes or reaction speed. So sometimes you'll just see me kind of use the Wu Wei principles that we discussed. I kind of go with the flow, right? Instead of always trying to do the optimal thing, I'm like, oh, he got hit. Okay, what can we do here? Oh, let's just do a crouching medium kick and go on from there, instead of trying to do something that's more optimal that will put me in a route that has me closer to his face, or has more room for the opponent to realize what I'm doing so that they could try to retaliate with a button. See, if he had blocked the crouching medium kick, that would have pushed him back significantly far, probably too far to put me in a strike though mix-up, right? But we go ahead and we try to do some of the Chun-Li's Oki here with our crouching overhead, but he stand blocks it. But we exchange those plus frames, as you can see, to continue pushing. He's not falling for the Chun-Li falling crane tactics here. What you see there is the classic Chun-Li. This is why you shouldn't jump too much with this character, because it's very hard to place the jumps. Luckily, he whiffs the throw, so we punish it. I try to bait by drive rushing again, but he doesn't fall for it. Instead, he just jumps. This is definitely a quote-unquote Smurf. This is not a new challenger or a new player. This is somebody that knows what they're doing. They're probably just picking Elena for the first time, right? Again, I try to scam him. He doesn't fall for it. I try some. Now, this was unfortunate because I didn't ask for her Senshu. I wanted to do a light spinning bird kick, and I died for it. And he shimmies me, and then I die. Sometimes that's why it's annoying playing Chun-Li, because especially for someone with slower reaction speed, you get into a situation where everything's happening so fast, and you try to pivot with your inputs, and then you get execution errors like that and get the wrong thing. So I got a sensu instead of a spinning bird kick. And that literally killed me. He was dead. I 100% would have killed him if that didn't drop. He actually didn't run it back after that one. I think he understood that he got away with murder, so he just decided to part ways. But let's go ahead and check out the next video here. All right, we had a match against Ryu. Interesting name there.
Ready? Then show me.
This will be a good fight.
All right, let's see how this one unfolds. We start by throwing the doing the classic Shoto fireball drive rush. I'm trying to open him up, having a little bit of difficulty. So I tried to scam him, but he didn't completely fall for it. Her fireball drive rush, you have to do it at the optimal range in order to and he did a perfect parry too, so that didn't help things. So this was a bad situation for me to try to do that, but luckily I was able to catch him and get a counter hit instead of getting blown up. Yep. So we're still. So I'm still kind of defaulting to my natural way of poking at people as I play, instead of like full on damage. Like I said, offense is not something that I'm really the best at. So, and you're seeing here, like I said, it's not the most optimal things, but I'm kind of flowing with the situation based upon what I am responding to. Sometimes it's a little bit hard for me specifically. This isn't going to be the case with every Chun Li player, but for me specifically, reacting to what's happening is a little bit trickier. Sometimes I realize super late that they're being hit, so instead of trying to pivot into optimal stuff, I'll just go with what I have. So that's why you'll sometimes see an inconsistent approach. However, it does, the upside to that is it keeps me from being put in situations where I'm negative or where I misplay something, right? I usually am always safe when playing that way, even if I don't get the most damage. Random Hasenshus, I wouldn't recommend that, but I just threw it out because that's an aggressive thing to do. Try to scam him again, he's not falling for it. Again, this is something that I shouldn't be doing, but I've been doing this since day one and I still haven't broken the habit. He keeps falling for that. Now, if you're wondering what I was talking about before here, let's go ahead and take a look again. After the Senshu, it's pretty much I did a, I'll show you in just a moment. See this? Crouching medium kick. Now, the reason why I went into this technically is because I did the jab into the crouching medium kick. By this time, he's not being hit, right? So I'm going to assume that if I do the crouching medium kick that he's going to block that too, right? Like we discussed in some of the previous videos. And I don't even think the highest level players will react to a random crouching medium kick hitting like this and then going into a combo. So when you're doing a sequence like that, you want to assume that the first part of your little string, of your little hit or block string, is going to actually. You want to assume that if they block the first part of it, that they're going to block all of it. So I pivoted into something safe, which is this. This is technically safe on block, but like I said, I'm right in his face. See? And he realizes that. So he takes his turn and he could put me in a tornado here. That's a habit that I have to stop doing. It would be better to just do the jab into the crouching medium kick and just stop instead of trying to do a lightning kicks and scam somebody. You could probably get away with this against lower level players, but like people that know what they're doing are going to blow you up for this, right? As you can see, he took his turn, but unfortunately he didn't actually get the knockdown. So I was able to get away with it, but he still has plus frames here. I catch him lacking on the Hadouken. I failed to completely charge my spinning bird kick. Pretty basic hit string here. And here he's mashing. That's why he's being hit here. This is a classic move you can use against people. For some odd reason, they will keep trying to mash after that. So I just kept doing it. This is me free-flowing. I'm using Wu Wei. These aren't the best sequences, but I have to work with the way that I play. My response time / experience doesn't seem to be high enough to where I know for a fact that my opponent is being hit or not sometimes. So, like I said before, sometimes I get caught in a situation where I realize they're being hit, but I'm already pivoting into something that is not optimal. So I just kind of go with the flow. Because see here, going into the crouching medium kick into that is probably a no-go, and then drive rushing into the medium punch, and then doing a random overhead. What I probably should have did here is when I went to that medium punch here, that I should have just went for a crouching medium punch, because whether he got hit or not, I probably could have got away with it. Now, technically speaking, if he blocked this and I went for a crouching medium punch, he could just beat me with a jab. But things are happening so fast that most opponents outside of like really high level ones are not going to punish you for that. So I should have either went for that or I should have went for a jab. That way, whether he was getting hit or blocking, I would be able to go into a better sequence instead of going into a random overhead like this. But my opponent is not blocking. So he's being hit by a lot of stuff here. And we were able to take that round. Alright, making good progress here. Let's go ahead and end that replay and head to the next one. I'm trying to pick different opponents here so that we can see differences, because obviously people play different players play differently. So your approach to offense is going to be different depending on the character and the actual player, right? This one's against Sagat. Very annoying matchup for Chun Li. We start out by drive rushing into the jab. There we go again, doing that very bad stuff. Do not do this. I know I'm doing it, but let me tell you something here. Having knowledge, like you can have knowledge, but if you don't apply it, this is what happens, right? So, for example, pro players, one of the key differences between pro players and someone like me is that I know a lot of these concepts that they know, but they train all day long, as if not all day long per se, but they consistently train because it's pretty much their job, or they treat it like it is their job in order to compete in these tournaments and high level events. So they actually put this stuff into raw practice. Me, I still haven't trained myself to get out of this habit, so it keeps happening. But this is a no-no. Do not do this. Trust me on that. Every now and then, sure, okay, but I do it too much, right? High-level players are going to kill you for doing that, right? So, alright, we're trying to bamboozle him with it. This isn't really cheese, per se, but it's the cheesiest thing Chun Li has, so we just keep trying the falling crane. He goes to try to jump out of the corner, he gets anti-air. I miss my setup there. He does something unsafe, but I get hit. He goes for the throw, and this is where Sagat gets annoying because his fireballs are fast. I usually get clipped by them. Yep. All day. You see me getting clipped by fireballs. It's my reaction speed really isn't that great. I'm telling you. He does something unsafe, so we punish it. And he falls for the bait here. So we go ahead and do a pretty heavy punish. Not the heaviest punish or most optimal, but good enough. We go ahead and throw a fireball behind them. This is kind of tricky because it looks like it's gonna hit them from behind, So they might try to block the other way, and sometimes they get hit by that. So if you time it right, that's a good way to open some people up. It's a nice little Sage Armageddon tech there, um, for when you have someone in the corner. I actually responded to the drive impact, but I ran out of meter because I burnt myself out. My opponent F's up here. Um, he's very annoyed right now. He tries to mash it in because he dropped that combo. And we scammed him by falling crane over his reversal. Let's head to the next round. Very sloppy stuff here on my part, but it is what it is. He doesn't fall for that. He anti-airs us out of it. Yeah. Another opponent that wants to keep pressing. So we just keep doing it over and over again because he keeps pressing. But we continue to pressure. He's going to get punished very hard for doing this. And we were en route to the optimal punish right there. My gameplay is not the most consistent, but that also makes me difficult to read, I think, for people because they don't know what the heck is going on here. It's very strange. It's a very inconsistent consistency, if that makes sense. I'm always doing different stuff, but it all always works, right? But let's go ahead and head to another replay. All right, we're running out of real estate here. I think I'll go ahead and do, let's take a look here. I'll go ahead and take a look at a game in which I lost here. I might do 3 more. Let's see. Let's go ahead with this. This kid won this game. Let's go ahead and take a look as to why he won.
Gotta do this. Come on.
I'm not gonna lose.
Round 1. Fight.
All right, we go for the drivers. He's backing up. Dragon Nash randomly. He's backing up again. He gets punished. He doesn't fall for that, and he actually punishes me for doing that. Well done. And we put ourselves into the corner accidentally because we missed the cross-up jump here. I'm gonna go back and take a look at that. So we for some strange reason didn't do the medium kick, but it's okay. We were able to throw him and get him back into the corner. I continuing my pressure. Now, generally speaking, when pressuring opponents, I usually don't recommend using meter like this, but sometimes it's okay, so long as you don't put yourself too close to burnout. If you're only using half of your 6 drive gauge bars, then it's okay in certain situations. Chun Li is not a character that you want to be trying to rush people down, but sometimes it's okay to spin the meter to pressure them. That's why you see me doing it a lot more here, because this is about offense, right? So what we do here is we go for the standing medium punch in order to get some plus frames. We're +5 in this situation, as you can see on the screen there. So since we have so much frame advantage, I go for the crouching medium punch. I try to bamboozle him, but he jumps out and he puts me in the corner. He does not anti-air me. Jumps out of the corner again. He does something stupid, but I don't punish it because I honestly was not expecting a high master to do something random like that. But I'm able to secure the cross up, and we went to seal the game here.
Now you understand.
And heading to the next round.
Don't underestimate me.
Round 2. Fight.
So pretty much the opponent, he keeps backing up. He's trying to just do Ken's bullcrap. He's trying to get himself enough space so he can throw a fireball and drive rush. That's pretty much why you keep seeing him back up like that. He's so determined to do that. If you ever fight Ken or Terry or something like that, and you're like, man, they get to keep throwing fireballs and drive rushing and putting me in a tornado, right? The key to doing that, one of the things you can do is just get closer to them so that their fireball doesn't give them so much advantage, right? So luckily, I'm being more aggressive here, So I'm able to actually keep him from doing that. But my natural play style, he would have been able to get away with it a lot more. He mashes out here. He's gonna try to, yep, Dragon Mash. This is a very by the books kid. He is trying to get the plus frame so he could put me in a tornado, but I'm not having any of it because I'm trying to put him into Chun Li's fake tornado. As you can see what's happening here, it's kind of a scrambly situation because Chun Li's jump is so god awful. If they move even slightly, this is what happens, right? He's gonna drive rush up. I catch him, and unfortunately, the spinning bird kick did not come out. I missed the punches. I failed to respond to drive impact as I always do, and I died from that. It's pretty much how that round ended there. Sloppy work. I dropped my spinning bird kick, and yeah. Let's go ahead to the next one, the final round. He's just trying to back up again since he keeps doing the same thing. I just drive rush into a low forward medium, picking the heavy lightning legs, and then continue to try to Oki him. Now, this Oki situation, this was not a picture perfect situation as you will see in the Okizeme video that's being released. I delayed that a little bit, as you can see there by the pause, because that's not an actual picture perfect situation, but I delayed it perfectly, so I still was +3. Right. And I'm in the tornado right now, so that's now I see why I lost this. Because once Ken gets this crap going, you're pretty much dead. He guesses right on me mashing, and then there goes my HP bar. I try to jump out, and Chun Li can't place a jump, so he punishes me again, and then that's pretty much it. He's able to secure the game, right? And we're dead. that's what I mean by the tornado, right? You don't want to get caught in that, because even people that are not necessarily that dangerous and neutral, once they get that crap going on you with somebody like Ken or Bison, it is so hard to get out. Let's go ahead and take a look at a game that I won here against this Ken. And after this, I'm probably going to take a look at one last replay.
Come on.
I'm not gonna lose.
All right, let's see how things unfolded here. He keeps doing the same thing, so I try to chase him down, but he anti-airs me with a target combo kick. Interesting. Ken needs to be nerfed. He shouldn't be able to do that for free like that. And then he try. That's the thing about when you're fighting Ken players is you don't want to try to jump the situation, because they're just going to drive rush anti-air you. So you want to make sure you space yourself perfectly so you don't get caught in this situation. Even though it doesn't look like I am, I'm pretty much in a tornado right now. Because if I stay on the ground, he's going to drive rush into a heavy punch. And if I jump, he's just going to hit me out of the air, as you can see. So I'm trying to get really close to him so that, you know, we can run our offense and not let that happen. That was not the most optimal combo, but that's what we did, so it's okay. And he uses a drive counter. You're able to Hissenshu over the fireball. He's not falling for the shenanigans. Now, when you do a falling crane, probably what you really want to try to do here is technically it's a strike throw mix-up, but you can throw here. You don't have to press a button and then try to grab. You can just grab after that, because you're like plus infinity if they block the falling crane, right? So, but we went ahead and tried to go for a strike throw situation. We still have plus frames here, so we exchanged that for a jab. Caught my opponent lacking, so he's dead now. And just so we can see that again, let's go ahead and rewind a little bit. Take a look at that again. I probably went back too far, sorry. Yeah, so I did the standard stuff, and then he just stopped blocking, so he got caught by that, and then we just take it from there.
Now you understand.
Take it to the next
Don't
round.
underestimate me.
Round 2. Fight.
Yeah, we drive rush him because he likes to keep backing up, but this time he didn't fall for it. Very scrambly round here, I think. We go for so what we do here is we go for Chun Li's low Oki setup, and he falls for it. So we just exchange that. Me messing up the head stomps is normal. He tries to mash. So this is technically a situation where he should get punished. But right here, I'm not gonna lie to you. I got kind of I'm gonna call it situation pressured because it's like, man, I could kill this guy right now, right? But try for me specifically, like I said, because of my reactions and situations, trying to at this moment, trying to drive rush cancel into a back heavy punch without messing it up probably seemed like too much of a task for me, especially against a high master Kin, knowing that if you mess something up, he's going to put you in a tornado and kill you. So I opted for something simple here. This is like a decision making situation where I sacrifice damage to make sure that I didn't drive rush underneath him and mess up the optimal combo. Right now, I could have did something a little differently, but sometimes that's how it goes in your head, where you want to do something, but then you hesitate, and you just got to take what you can get. Right. So we go for something like this, and then we seal the game here. See, so we were able to win this one, but that's another thing that might pertain to more Chun Li players as well, is that higher level players are not watching so much what they're doing. They're watching their health. They're not staring at the health bar and the drive gauge and stuff like that per se, but they're constantly checking their meter, their opponent's meter, how much drive gauge they have, how much health their opponent has, right? And the stress of using this character, especially since I'm playing aggressively, which I'm not very good at, the stress becomes too high for me to actually pay close attention to how much health my opponent has. So that's probably another reason why those types of situations happens. Because technically speaking, after Kin messed up that Shoryuken, that should have been an easy cash out combo to finish him off, right? But like I said, sometimes I get confounded. That's just how it is in this game. So I just kind of go with the flow with it. I know people might say, "Oh, you have to do something to get better at that," but it's not the easiest thing to do to overcome and natural deficiencies, right? For example, if you're somebody that has an eye condition, like I believe it's called astigmatism, and you can't drive, it's kind of hard to work around something like that, right? Not that I have astigmatism, but that's something about me causes me to process things more slowly. That's just the way it is. And it's not like that in this game. It's also like that in things with real life. If I try to rush things and do things fast, it always comes out sloppy and messy and stuff. I'm not very good at doing that. Right? So we're gonna check out one final replay here. All right, continuing the last replay here. Looks like we ran into our friend Elena again. And looks like I was able to take this game, but let's see how it unfolded, shall we? Match taking place in Thailand. What an epic finale location. Again, we were being more aggressive, so you're going to see me drive rushing at my opponent a lot more. I usually don't play like this. But that's okay. Good anti-air. Saw me jumping again. I try to scam him, but he doesn't fall for it. We go for the sweep. And I try something cute, but I messed it up. Now, that wasn't anywhere close to the best Oki on the sweep. There's something else I could have done, but it's okay. And he catches me lacking. And he's able to pressure me. He's able to get the perfect parry, but he tries to punish it. And I was too close to the ground, so he couldn't do it. That threw him off big time. I try to scam him, but he doesn't have it. He gets anti-air. I like the back bash. This is definitely not a new challenger. Almost nobody knows how to answer that, so he has to be like at least high master or grandmaster. And the way that he jumps when I try to go for the throw, we mash out here, and then we're gonna start some head stomp shenanigans. You can always count on the head stomps to confuse people in the corner, no matter what level they are. So it's a little tricky to do yourself too. Not easy to head stomp people all day, but we're trying to gain some ground here. But like I said, he doesn't fall for the drive rush scam. We don't finish our combo, and we get the knockdown here. We go for the low Oki option. He gets scammed by the quote unquote cross up fireball, and then we go for lethal because I noticed that his health was very low. And that's pretty much it. Very close to getting a perfect here, but not quite. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the games there. Thank you very much for reviewing those with me. Let's take a brief intermission in the training area here. All right, so we were able to go over some replays here in which I was able to show you how to approach things more aggressively with Chun Li. Like I said, since this is me actually playing, and the way that my own attributes are as a person and my abilities with Chun Li, so the stuff didn't come out as optimally as you probably have hoped. Like, you know, seeing me do stuff like this is probably like, right. For example, you saw me do something like this, and then, you know, it's something that would be more close to optimal. See, that's 13 frames, so you could do something like this would even be more optimal. You could even do something like this, and then do the head stomps, and then go into Oki that way, and that will push them to the corner too, right? You know, like any of these options would probably be more optimal than what I was doing there, right? When the Ken whiffed his OD Shoryuken, let's go ahead and get Ryu to replicate that for me. Instead of doing this, obviously that wasn't the best thing to do. What I could have done is this. Oh, whoops. What I could have done is something like this if I wasn't so certain in my ability to, you know. I could have, and we still dropped it, but we could have done something like that. That would have been pretty, that wouldn't require risking drive rushing, because since he's in the air, something that can happen when you're doing this is this. And that's what I did not want to happen again when I was fighting that kid. That's why I hesitated. But technically, that would have been the optimal damage combo that you would want to do with Chun Li, something like this. Right? And we dropped the head stomps again, but you get the point. So stuff like that. Like I said, I don't do everything optimally, but as you can see by the record there, those are all the games that I had favorited there were all the ones that I recorded specifically for this video, all in one sitting. So those are literally all of them. I didn't leave any of them out in terms of adding them to the favorites list. And I only lost about 3 of them out of like 7 or 8. The Elena, I got cheated because my move didn't come out the way that I expected. I somehow managed to drop it at the last second. Um, the Ken put me in a Ken tornado, and then there's a game against Sagat where I kind of goofed really bad and got put in a tornado and lost that one. But I won the majority of the games, um, even though even though in terms of my offensive combo structure, that's not necessarily the most damaging. Like I said before, my mastery with the character helps to carry a long way. So you don't always have to do everything optimally, and I think some of the games that I did here are an example of that. Obviously, if you're playing at the absolute highest level, you want to you want to optimize as much as you can. But even up there, I have no doubt that there are players that don't always do the optimal combos, right? If they go for a punish combo, they might not even do this version of it. They might do something else. They might do something like this. Let me try that again here. They might do something along the lines of this. Alright. They might not even do the most damaging version that you can get, right? So there make up for deficiencies with your strengths as a person. I'll discuss that in another video, but as you can see here, the stuff was not optimal. I'm not the most comfortable with trying to rush my opponent down all day. Even though I'm able to give you the information for how to do a lot of these things in actual practice in a match with pressure and stuff like that, your instincts are going to be the things that you're going to be using a lot more. And instinctively, I'm just not very good when it comes to rushing people down. I like to play more defensively with Chun Li and punish people for for making mistakes. Now, you did still see me win, but that's just honestly because of, like I said, not only just my mastery with the character, but offense is easier than defense, truthfully. And I'll go ahead and give a few examples as to why. When you are on defense, let's turn the Ryu bot on for a moment. When you're on defense, you have to have knowledge, experience, all that stuff. You have to have an idea of what your opponent is most likely going to do, which requires experience. High-level players like pros, like Filipino Champ and whatnot, Punk, they're able to download what you're most likely going to do very quickly just based upon you breathing a certain way, right? Because they've been playing Street Fighter at such a high level for so long, you know. But when you're playing defense, you have to know like situations. You have to know when your opponent is negative. You have to know what their spacing is if you block a certain move. You have to know when it's your turn to press a button, right? You have to know how to punish them for doing certain things. All this stuff, right? And that's hard. And you have to be able to do that for each character that you fight. And you also have to be able to adjust to the actual player's playing style, not just the character in terms of that matchup, but the matchup against the player themselves, right? So playing defense is hard. So even though that's my preferred play style, it might still be a little bit harder for me because it causes me to allow my opponents to run their little offensive game to put me in a blender, like Ken doing his Dragon Dash into Jinrai bull crap and stuff like that. But when you're doing offense, you don't have to worry about all that. If your opponent is constantly blocking and being hit, and your space, let's go ahead and turn that off, and you're spacing your stuff correctly, and you know your frames, you know when you're plus, and all that stuff. It's a lot easier because your opponent can't put you in a tornado if they're in one themselves, right? So offense is just generally easier. It's the defensive part of these fighting games that separates pros from everybody else, right? You can have somebody around the level that I am that has spectacular offense, but they don't know the matchups. So they're going to lose. They can have offense that's not very far removed from somebody like Moki or Punk or something like that, right? But they don't know the matchups, so they lose. That's why a lot of people in low MR master ranks, that's why they lose, right? because they're running their bullcrap and they don't know how to stop their opponents from running their bullcrap on them, or how to deal with it once the tornado starts. The best ways to cope with it, right? And that's the stuff that's really going to be able to get you far. So me playing defense, even though it makes things harder for me in the long run, I'm more comfortable with it generally speaking, and it also helps me to grow faster because I'm learning a lot more through observation, right? So the whole offensive thing, even though I'm sloppy, I'm still able to win because offense is just easy by comparison. So even if I do have a sloppy offense, my opponent, as long as I'm not doing anything that's blatantly unsafe and stupid, I'm fine. I might not be getting the most damage, but as long as I'm not doing anything that's blatantly dumb, which outside of execution errors I pretty much did not do, then you can still get away with it, right? Even if your offense is not the best. But that's pretty much going to be it for this dojo training session. Thank you, thank you very much to all of those that watched through those replays with me in order to discover my approach to using some of those ideas. I wanted to try to kind of give an example to the Oki that Chun Li can get, as well as block string structure and just like combo structure. And even though it's all over the place, forgive me that it wasn't so focused, but it's going to be very, 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 very hard to control getting an exact situation against an opponent. Like, for example, if I wanted to focus the replays only on Oki, that's going to require for me to knock them down and stuff, right? And I'm not guaranteed to be able to get my opponent with this, right? So trying to catch them with that and so that I can run Oki on them is not going to be an easy thing to do, right? So that's why I opted for it to just be more aggressive in general. But we did get some Oki situations, and then we got some of this. We got some of this. Right. So we didn't get any safe jumps or anything, but that's okay. If you haven't already, feel free to tune into the actual Oki's MA and block string videos that were released here. They're a continuation of the offensive structure for Chun Li. And they should be closer to being optimal than in these replays. Like I said, I don't always do everything optimally myself, but I can definitely show you the optimal stuff in a controlled environment, right? But thank you again for attending and for your and for just your support in general to all my Chun Li warriors out there. So feel free to like the video if you like it, subscribe if you're willing, and this is going to be Sage Armageddon signing out. I hope you all have a great day. Take care.